when the receding Russian tide from Bucha revealed what was left in its wake in terms of death, destruction, atrocities. We can only anticipate that this tide also at some point recedes from Mariupol. We're going to see far worse.
Secretary of State Antony Blinken giving a grim warning on the horrors to come in that besieged city of Mariupol. Joining us now is Fox News contributor Joey Jones, a former Marine Corps bomb technician, and he'll be on the 5 tonight with me as well. Just call for number 1 here, Joey. Ukrainian civilian casualties. This is from the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights. Says that there's 5,121 civilian casualties. This includes men, women, young children. We know that babies have also been killed. There's a lot of injuries as well. Trey Ying's just said that the key question is, will President Biden in 25 minutes announce significant amount of aid and weaponry? What do you think he should do?
Well, his biggest criticism is this idea that they're going in waves and trying to match the, I can't remember now who was being interviewed a couple of days ago, but they're trying to explain, I believe it was Kirby actually at the Pentagon, talking about matching what we're sending with where the war was, which really I kind of laughed at because it's, well, the war's going in whatever direction where Russia can find a strength. So, you know, had we sent these defensive opportunities earlier on, the war wouldn't be going in that direction. They would have done their job at deterring. So, to take a step back and just look at this, the one thing that I keep going back to is really this is a no-win for Putin at this point, because if he decimated the country, you give an entire generation of Ukrainians license to fight for the rest of their lives and their kids to grow up fighting. I know what it's like to fight insurgency that's multi-generational because of a bad situation that came from multiple different, what they would consider the Taliban invasions. You know, the next thing that happens are IEDs in Moscow, not Kiev. And that's what Putin needs to understand.
This area in Mariupol, this former steel plant now,
yeah.
It's made with nuclear bomb shelters that were constructed decades ago. Now, Putin says he's not going to go in there. Probably a really good reason why you don't, because the entire joint is booby-trapped, and Ukrainian soldiers are well fortified underground. But what he did yesterday sent some sort of signal with this ICBM test. Yeah. And what Putin's words was, we were going to provide food for thought for those in the heat of frenzied, aggressive rhetoric to try and threaten our country. That's directed at Biden, the United States, and all the NATO allies that are now supplying Ukrainians with weapons, is it not?
Well, he's not going to attack a heavily fortified position like Mariupol because that place is not on the offensive, and it would just be a waste of munitions. I mean, we talk about like the father of all bombs, the bunker busters. Those aren't easy to make. They're not cheap to make, and their version of whatever that is, he probably doesn't have many of them, and he's not going to use it to prove a point when hopefully he can do a blockade in his mind and get there as well. The idea that he wants to take Mariupol to create that landlocked corridor. But kind of just to go back, what's happening in Mariupol is a perfect example of Sun Tzu in The Art of War talks about how when you defeat your enemy, you give them the dignity of their, essentially their life and culture. You just rule over them, because if you decimate them, if you push them too far, they come back with twice the fury. No Ukrainian is going to not have someone connected to what's happened in Mariupol. Like, they've got family, friends, you know, their sons are all serving and they ended up serving in Mariupol. This is going to be something that reverberates throughout that entire country, and I don't know how their will to fight to the last man doesn't stay. And things like what's happening in Mariupol is why. And so I look at this and I can understand why Zelensky is so hardened on this, because he has an entire nation ready to fight behind him. The really unfortunate part is it just means more people are going to die.
What do you think about this idea that we should not provoke Putin?
Well, I don't know. Not provoke Putin. We have an administration that would say that our test that we should have done a week or two ago was provoking Putin. I would say signing defense treaties or understandings memorandums with Zelensky last year and the rhetoric that our country has put forth as far as courting Ukraine is just as much a provocation as anything. So you kind of got to clean up the mess you made, or at least foresee what might happen. If this entire war is our government and other European countries being so short-sighted, they just didn't believe Russia would do this, that's what's scary to me. I'm not going to armchair quarterback this administration and every military tactic they do during this invasion, but I'm going to look back 6 months ago and 9 months ago and say, what red flags, what should we have done differently, and expect either this president or the next to handle China much differently than we've handled this.
Oh, excellent point.
Joey Jones, we'd love to see you, and I'll see you on the 5.
Absolutely.
Got your
And
homework
we'll see
in
the
yet?
president in 20 minutes, and brace yourself for the news out of Mariupol.
Yeah.
It will be bad. We know
Absolutely.
that. Thank you, Joey.
Thank you.